I'm in recovery.
Yeah?
And
I've recovered.
wow. Really? I've recovered, all right. But my challenge is that...
My opportunity is
that the
thing I'm
recovery...
most interested in, excited about.
The recovery program tells me that I need to be in constant service. I need to go to meetings.
Here you are. Serving all of us to the clarity of that which is you.
How do I balance all this? Because sometimes it gets very overwhelming, and sometimes we get...
Well, balance is a perfect word, and overwhelming means out of balance. So you strive to keep yourself in balance, but you do it by starting on the first thing. In other words, you sort of have to get a head start on it. Have you been listening to us for a little while?
Yeah.
And sometimes we hear people say something that sounds just like this. Abraham, I've jumped out of an airplane. I don't have a parachute. What should I do now? And we say, hang on, it will be over in a little bit.
Right.
Because sometimes there is momentum. And to think that you're going to take that kind of momentum and just turn it around all of a sudden, you're not going to. But you can start with easier and easier things. And the easiest way is by just beginning your day by looking for things that feel good and practicing those things until they get a little bit of momentum going, and you start noticing the evidence of the well-being, and then you're off and running. We know it is that simple, and it sounds too simplistic, but it is that simple. We'll hear you.
The challenge that I'm having is with the so-called step 4 in recovery, which is where we take inventory of our lives and we find out where we were wrong, and then we move on later on to step 9 where we make amends. And I could remember one of your recordings where you were in Florida on a workshop and you entered some directions on your GPS and you went the wrong way, and then you guys finally corrected your way, and then you said to Jerry, oh, why don't we go back and find out where we made the mistakes? And Jerry told you, why don't you just drop it and we focus on the way
Let's just go
ahead.
where we want to go. Now we know which way it is. Yeah.
But we have to find out what our errors were so we don't repeat them again in our future.
Well, we just have one question, and we're not wanting to take issue with anything that's working for anyone.
Right.
We just want to ask you one question. Is there any question in your mind about where you went wrong?
No.
So do we have to beat that drum until it becomes your chronic now? Or can you stop beating that drum and start beating the drum of where you've gone right? If you hear what we're saying, that law of attraction is responding to you here and now. So here you are. I get it, Abraham. Law of attraction is responding to me. This is my point of power. My point of power is right now. And source energy is shining to me and through me and adoring me. So my best resonance is to find that feeling. My most powerful beingness is to find resonance with my inner being who adores me, who appreciates me, who adores me, who loves me unconditionally. But I can't do that right now. I got to do step 4. I can't do that right now. So I'm going to make a list of all the things that I did wrong. And I know full well that my inner being will not go there with me, because my inner being never goes there with me when I beat up on myself. So I'm just going to do step 4, and I'm out here on the raw and ragged edge because my inner being isn't going to come with me, because my inner being will not condemn me just because I am condemning me. And in fact, the negative emotion that I feel is evidence that my inner being will not join me. If my inner being would join me on the beat up on me phase of this 12-step process, then I wouldn't feel the separation between my inner being and me, because there would be no separation, because my inner being would be beating up on me too. But since my inner being won't beat up on me, then I'm choosing to beat up on me, which means I'm choosing to separate myself from me, and I am delaying my recovery, because my recovery is all about my full resonance with the well-being that is mine to have. Ooh, that was the best ever. The best ever. So now, let's take it a little further here. So I get it about my point of attraction, and I understand about this resonance, and I understand that source is pointed to me and through me. So you all heard all of that. Now we want to talk about something, because this is a subject that we began with here today, and it's a subject that you are so ready to understand, that you are so ready to allow things to begin to manifest in your experiences in the way that you've wanted. You're so ready to actually give the physical birth and have the realization of so many of these things as they move from your vortex of creation into your point of attraction, into your grid, into your climate, into your atmosphere, into your beingness where you are. So as you stand in any moment, talking about all of you, as you stand in any moment, you are doing one of two things. You are either reacting to something that's going on in the physical world, or you are reacting to the grid that you have prepared. You know the phrase you all use all the time? Maybe not so much anymore, but it was rampant for a while. I want to let you know where I'm coming from. Well, are you coming from your practiced climate alignment with source, or are you coming from this vantage point that humans have about one thing or another? And you've trained yourself to come from that vantage point. That's what very conditional love is. When I look out into the world and I look at that condition, I feel good. And so I'm experiencing love, but it's a conditional love because I needed that condition to present itself to me. I needed to sift and sort and find that condition. And now that I found that condition that causes me to feel good, I feel love, but it is a conditional love. Would you agree to that? Mm-hmm. Now, because I'm looking out there, because that's what I'm used to doing, because I'm used to caring what this one thinks and this one thinks and this one thinks. I've been taking the polls of my own life. I've been listening to others. So I've conditioned myself to look for conditions in order to make me feel good. But I'm sort of all over the map on that because the squeaking wheel sort of gets my attention. So when I see a condition that makes me feel good, fortunately my conditional love does feel good. But when I see a condition that makes me feel bad, now I feel like I need to control that condition, but I can't because it's happening in another part of the world or because it's happening to someone else. So now my conditional love isn't serving me very well because I can't control the conditions. You're with us so far, aren't you? What condition can you control? What can you control? You can control your relationship with source. You can control the thoughts you think right now. You can control the momentum that you get going. You can control waking up and looking for positive aspects. You can control how lovely you feel about yourself in time. You can control that. And that is what unconditional love is. It's never needing the conditions. Jerry and Esther's wonderful book publisher said to them early on, don't read the reviews. And Jerry said, but look at all of these really favorable reviews. And Reed said, yeah, the favorable ones will call you and the unfavorable ones will break your heart. Don't practice the condition. Don't practice needing approval from out there. Find it where it's always offered, because source is loving you unconditionally, whether you're on step 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 12. Source has always loved you. It is your finding reasons not to love you that is at the heart of everything that has been uncomfortable to you from the beginning of your conscious awareness that you were uncomfortable, you see. So we're not saying throw the program away. We're saying modify it in your own mind. Okay, step 4 accomplished. Did you do step 4? Yep, I did it. I did step 4. How do you know? Because I feel forgiven. I feel forgiven. I know I did it right because I feel so good about me. I feel so good about me that I don't need to cover up the bad way I feel with something to drink or something to shoot or something to snort. I feel so good, unconditionally good. I don't need other conditions to cover up how I feel. That's how good I feel. Step 4, done.
Thank you. Appreciate
really good.
It.
I just have a question about being a really sensitive person who's very, very sensitive to energy and physical things and whatever. How to be in a situation with others and come back into alignment without having to run away and hide.
Well, that's going about it the hard way. It really, for those like you, and there are a lot of you here, it's the preliminary work that you do. Because if you say I'm sensitive to energy and you just sort of not paying attention to where you are vibrationally. So you've got your buttons to push right out there in front, and you walk into a room and they push your buttons. It's sort of like you've fallen out of an airplane and you don't have a parachute, and hang on, it'll be over in a little while. But you can do the work in advance, and the more you prepare yourself vibrationally, the less law of attraction is going to line you up with things that are unsettling. You know what you're saying to us? You're saying something so important. You're saying, Abraham, I am an extension of source energy, and the source within me is pure positive energy. And I've tuned myself to that often enough that when I'm not tuned to it, I suffer. And I can't control the world to present conditions to me that keeps me from suffering. So what do? Sensitive me. And we say, you got to tune yourself better. That's the only answer.
But then you get annoyed with yourself because you're like, I'm a hopeless focuser and I can't do it.
Well, that's not tuning yourself the way we're encouraging. And when you beat up on yourself, you feel sensitivity to that first and foremost. You are all much harder on yourselves than you are on anybody else, you see. We know that if you found someone in the street bleeding and in need of help, you'd help them. We know you would. But when you find somebody ornery or belligerent, you don't often try to soothe them. Often you just want to yell back at them something more clever than what they yelled at you.
Or run away.
Or run away. But what you're really wanting to do is to cue yourself up before you're out there where they are to rendezvous with the best of that which they are. And we don't just mean the best ones from the crowd. We mean the best aspects from the crowd that is called this person that you are engaging in. Every person is a veritable crowd with endless possibilities, and they will demonstrate to you what's active in you about them. Ooh. You little brat. You're showing me what's active in me about you? Yeah. You've come to a place of expectation about things. The question is, have you trained your expectation in harmony with the expectation of source? Or have you diverged a little bit? Did you let headline news train your expectation? Or a movie, a very well-intentioned movie, can train your expectation. Or the friend that you talk to every day can train your expectation. In other words, so that sensitivity that you're talking about, that's what we're talking about all day, every day. Being sensitive and caring about how you feel, and most important of all, knowing that you can feel good with a little bit of focus. So if you don't make it till breakfast the first day, then go after it the second day, and then third day, and the fourth day, until you begin to notice that things are really shifting. We don't want you to run and hide. We want you to live step 4 living. We want you to stand mostly in alignment, eager for variety, to inspire you to new desire that you know you're not in alignment with. Understanding that you know the process. It's like learning a mathematical formula. You can just apply it across the board and you can solve any problem once you know the mathematical formula, you see. And this is the same way. You're learning vibrational formulas that you can apply to everything. Just start with the things that are easiest first until you've convinced yourself that you've got the formula down. Because it is so consistent. It will not squirrel around on you. It will not deceive you. It will not betray you. It will not pretend that it's something that it isn't. It is so consistent that it will easily teach itself to you. So we would say to ourselves, I can say it better. I can say it better. I'm a sensitive person and it serves me really well. I can say it better. My sensitivity is so beneficial to me because I can catch things in early subtle stages. My sensitivity means I catch momentum early. Esther remembers being in San Francisco first time she saw those hills. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe cars were actually driving down them or up them. She couldn't believe it. So imagine you've got your car perched at the top of one of those hills. It's out of gear. You've taken the parking brake off and you decide that you want to understand momentum and gravity. So you just nudge it a little bit from behind, just a little bit, and you see it start to move, and then you have deja vu. You come to your senses. You realize what's about to happen, and so you stop the momentum when it's small. You get right out in front of the car and you let it bump up against you, and it stops, and all is well. You wouldn't want to be at the bottom of the hill with your sensitivity. You want to be at the top of the hill. You want to be at the beginning of the thought with your sensitivity to momentum. That's the key.